Four women on the same grind with different points of view. The millennial, sex, and the ATL. The raw, the real, the unexpected. Welcome to the Mixx 2.0.
The ATL Mixx 2.0.
Just go hotel. Bags and backpacks. Get that 10% discount at Just Go Hotel.
Bags and Backpacks by Jessica Hotel, Art and Rhymes of Ghetto Girl Boo collection. Go now to jessicahotel.com and get that 10% off. jessicahotels.com is an online store and website that features art for fashion and fundraising and links to our edutainment initiatives and affiliates. Proceeds benefit Hotel Intellectual Properties, Inc., a Georgia-based 503c3 nonprofit organization here in Atlanta, Georgia, creating art, media, health, wellness, and harm reduction experiences. The HIP team serves as art in residence at Dwayne Wiggins Electric Church in Hampton, Georgia. Bags and Backpacks by Jessica Hotel, Art and Rhymes of Ghetto Girl Boo collection. Go now to jessicahotel.com and get that 10% off.
Four women on the same grind with different points of view. The millennial, sex, and the ATL. The raw, the real, the unexpected. Welcome to the Mixx 2.0.
The ATL Mixx 2.0.
Welcome to Coffee Talk Social, where we're celebrating Black History every day, not just in February. Make sure to join our social network, www.coffeetalk.com, and follow us on IG at Coffee Talk Social.
It's time to take that journey with threads from the past with the HIP team. Today's thread from the past. Before Rosa Parks, there was Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin is an American pioneer of the 1950s civil rights movement and retired nurse aide. On March 2nd, 1955, she was arrested at the age of 15 in Montgomery, Alabama, for refusing to give up her seat to a white woman on a crowded, segregated bus. Thanks for tuning in to Threads from the Past. Something you may know that we didn't know, or something we may know that you didn't know. Until next week, back to the ATL Mixx 2.0. From the A to the T to the L, it's them Georgia features. The ATL Mixx 2.0.
Everyone. Hey y'all. What's up? What's up? What's up? Back in the building. We are. We're back in the building. Sorry for the delay. I was sick and we had some other stuff going on. We was out of town. Traveling, baby, living life. So we it was unexpected because we were still gonna do the podcast, but it was unexpected. So we went ahead and skipped about 2 weeks, so we're back. Back like cooked crab. Right. And tonight, our episode, the last time we were together, what were we talking about? You guys remember? It was like Valentine's, not Valentine's Day. Oh yeah, we talking about love and stuff. The definition of love and everything. Oh yeah, you weren't. And it was good. It was good. It kind of made me feel a little bad for my friends and Amber, but you know, love will find them soon. Eventually. No, it's gonna find them. We're manifesting that shit this year, 2023. Okay, we will. And continuation of love, we're going to talk about self-love. Because before you can love anybody else, you gotta love yourself first. Absolutely. So we're gonna talk about self-love. Self-love along with self-care. Because that goes hand in hand. And healing.
All of mixed gumbo. It's all in the same pot.
Okay, so what does self-love mean to you guys?
Self-love to me is finding ways to pour into yourself without, I don't know, it's kind of like you being selfish. You gotta be selfish with yourself sometimes. It offends others. It's just the love that you give out to others, you just, you put more in than you putting out.
Yeah. I concur with it. For me, self-love is just me loving me and finding out what I want, what my worth is, who I am, what I can deal with, what I can't, what I'm gonna appreciate, what I'm not.
Set boundaries.
Boundaries is
Healthy
what I
boundaries.
want.
Absolutely. You have to set boundaries. Saying no.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Being
definitely
okay
Yeah.
with saying no.
Yeah.
Because no is a hard word for some people.
Yeah.
It's hard for me, but now, baby, I'm the no queen. Cancel.
No, I don't know.
I don't have it.
It's a no. Absolutely not.
Hell no, fuck no.
Okay.
All the no. Okay.
What about you, Michelle?
Self-love to me means you do have to be selfish, but you also have to realize that it's okay. Some things you do is okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to rediscover yourself. It's okay to peel back your own layers, because sometimes we get caught up in the thoughts or emotions of other people that we forget to deal with ourselves.
Giving yourself grace.
Yes.
You gotta give yourself grace.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You do. So that's what self-love means to me. And for some people, we talked about this a little bit. Narcissist. Some people say that sometimes when you love yourself, you can be a narcissist. Do you think that?
In a way, it's like that's like a yes and no. It's you loving yourself is you showing somebody how to treat you. So how you treat yourself? I don't know, that's crazy. That's a good question.
And
Does that make you a
but
narcissist?
going off of what you said, having the boundaries about how you treat yourself and setting that standard about how you treat yourself. Some people look because they're lacking that self-love, and they're looking other people to find the definitions of what will make them happy instead of trying to figure out for themselves, whether it is therapy, because some people don't like therapy, some people don't think therapy is for them. Some people use, the gym.
Yes.
Some people use going yoga, going to do self-care as therapy for themselves. But what do you think about working on yourself? Not to be selfish a little bit, not a narcissist, but to be selfish a little bit, to be able to take care of yourself and stuff to do, like even take yourself on dates, dating yourself. What do you think about that?
I think that is very important that you date yourself, to spend time with yourself, get to know what you like and what you don't like, and just discipline. Discipline is a part of self-love too. If you're not disciplined to just handle the little shit in life, I mean, smallest thing like making up your bed every day before you leave the house, just for stuff. Discipline is important. That's part of self-love for sure.
And how do you think, without having discipline, you can't have self-love?
Absolutely.
Because you said it's linked to it.
It is.
Do you think you can't
You're
have?
not taking yourself serious. Like,
I think you need to start, like, for me, self-love is like prioritizing your time, your energy, and where you put things, like your perspective of everything. And like, to me, like, for me, I know what I need to start doing to show myself self-love. I probably need to start going to the gym. Definitely need to start doing it. I think you've been doing it. How's that been for you?
Let me tell you something.
You've been in the
It
gym.
hurts so bad, but how you feel afterwards is just like it's indescribable until you do it.
It's about getting there. I find that hard.
That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. Just getting there. But once you in there, you get in that mode where that dog come out your baby. It's different. It definitely feels good. It likes the move. You know, it's helping with my problem solving and how I deal with people, and it goes a long way. It goes a long way. That's where I pour into myself the most. Shout out to my trainer Jazz, the beast. But yeah, that's where I pour into myself. That's where that self love started at the gym.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So for me, I found yoga. I was going through a lot when I just went on Groupon 1 year. I was working for ATL, and I just went on Groupon and said, you know what, let me try something different. And there was a hot yoga spot across the street. And I was going through some stuff personally, professionally, and it was just like, hey, Don. So I was going through some stuff, and I just went to yoga. And when I went to yoga, it was like, I don't think we can hear you, Don.
We can't hear you, Don. You trying to talk to us?
No, I wasn't saying anything. I was waiting for Lynn. I was waiting for Shell to get done talking before I said anything.
Okay. So I was, going through some stuff work-wise, personally, and I just went in, and I was told before that with hot yoga, like your emotions come out and you cry. I didn't cry, baby. But I did have I came out of there feeling like so refreshed,
like a relief.
And yeah, like all the weight of what was going on personally, professionally, all of that just like floated off of me. And when I went back to work, it was like, you can say what you want to say. You can have whatever rumors, whatever going on. I don't care. I come in here to do my job. I'm going to go ahead and do my thing and get up out on here. And it just made me, that 6 weeks was so good. It was to the point where I was going so often, even the owner was like, girl, you don't have to be in here every day, twice a day. And it was just it just felt so refreshing.
Yeah.
And I think I want to get back to that.
Let's do it. I'm through with it.
Absolutely. Try new things, y'all. I highly recommend it. Especially the shit that scares you. I don't know if we talked about this last podcast about me going ziplining. Just trying something different. It was life changing. It was more than a zip line, because it had it was the further you went, you couldn't go back. Right. You know what I'm saying? You apply that to life. You got to move forward. You either gonna jump or you gonna stay still.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was life changing for sure. So
I can't even do seconds of them all. So.
It was different. I went as far as I could. I definitely had the time, but yeah, I applied that to life. So you just can't stay still. You love yourself. You need to try new things and venture out and trust yourself. You gotta trust yourself for sure. Definitely trust yourself.
What you got, Donna?
What do I have? Well, because you let me see. Emotions is a lot. So self-healing has to do a lot with emotions as well. Because at the end of the day, I feel like before you could take care of yourself, you have to understand yourself and know your trigger points. And you have to understand what it is, because we tend to say we're going to take care of ourselves and we're going through this healing process. But at the same time, do we know what we're healing from? Or are we just saying, I'm going through this healing process? Because you could have a multitude of things going on. But if you don't narrow it down to exactly what that self-care is and what it is you need to heal from in order to get to that point of loving yourself, then it's pointless. The self-care is pointless, because you might just be going through the emotions of, oh, I'm gonna date myself, so I'm gonna go to the movies by myself. But you sitting in there, you watching that movie. Is it really a date for yourself, or Are you really taking out time to get to know yourself and take care of yourself properly? So I hear a lot of people say, I'm taking care of myself. It's about me this year. But they never really make it to that healing point or get to a point of really taking care of themselves, because they don't even know what taking care of themselves really mean. They might go out and ride a bike, but what is that doing? Like, what is the purpose? Like, you really have to dig deep and know who you are first before you can even take care of yourself. And a lot of times we don't know because we so busy and we taught to take care of other people and always, be givers and make sure everybody else is okay before we make sure ourselves is okay. So with that, we tend to lose who we are. So we have to get back to that place before we could take care of ourselves.
That's
Like
about peeling back the layers of yourself. And sometimes
exactly.
what has to be uncomfortable, because you have to be uncomfortable.
You're not growing if you're not.
You have to be uncomfortable and put yourself in that uncomfortable state of mind and vulnerable state of mind. And that's why sometimes therapy is it, but you have to speak to someone because that is a professional, not a friend, professional, because they can dig into you more than your friend will. Because sometimes your friends tiptoe around you. Not everybody, but sometimes your friends tip around you and tiptoe around the issue. But when you learn to peel back that layer, or like an onion, peel back the layers of yourself and be vulnerable, then you can heal. Because healing, in order to heal, you got to clean the wound. You can't have a dirty wound and then think it's going to heal. It's going to get infected. And that's for life as well. You got to be uncomfortable, go through the growing pains of being uncomfortable, and peel back yourself so that you can then heal and become the better person for yourself. Like, that's part of self-healing in a healthy way, because you can do self-care and it not be healthy.
Okay, and we have a comment here. Hindi and Newton said shadow work. Don just defined it. Cool. Miss Newton, sorry if I used the wrong pronoun. Hindu Newton, self-love, giving yourself the same love you provide to others, but not at the expense of your self-esteem. Agree.
Lose yourself trying to pour into somebody else.
Yeah,
We
that's
do
why
it all the time.
it's important to even have those check-ins with yourself. Every once in a while, have a check-in with yourself. How are you doing? How like
Maybe once in a while. I think you need to do it like at least 2 or 3 times a week.
really?
Yeah, for real, because you need to.
Go ahead.
Every once in a while.
No. I don't mean every once in a while, like every 6 months or whatever it is. I mean a couple times a month. You have that.
At least once a week.
What are my needs?
2, 3 times a week. You need to pour into you, because I'm almost sure 9 times out of 10 we're not pouring into ourselves, and we're trying to make sure everyone else is good and everyone else is doing what they're doing, but nobody's, checking on themselves. I'm not checking for me. I'm checking for my daughter, my boyfriend, my dog. You know what I'm saying? My friends or whatever. You're not checking on you. You're just going through the motions, making sure everybody else happy, and then I guess you happy. Maybe you're not. So
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Because everybody always say, I'm taking care of myself. Do you agree? Well, most you probably will. In order to tell other people, teach other people how to love you and to take care of you, then you definitely need to know how to take care of yourself.
You do, because before, like RuPaul said, before you can love anybody else, what you gotta do? Exactly. You got to. Sometimes you can look in the mirror and don't even like the person you see looking back at you. That happens for a lot of people. So you gotta
emotions and healing. Choose.
It said.
Right. I want to heal from everything. I ain't trying to play victim to a damn thing, because I already know I got my own faults. So this definitely, I'm trying to heal from whatever else not happening in my life. I'm trying to heal from within first.
You have to.
Do y'all feel
How
like
do you identify? Like when you taking care of yourself, how do you
I know what I'm lacking in. I know that. I know, for instance, for me, I know that when I come home from work every day, I'm tired of shit. I don't put my all into this job. And so now when I get home, I ain't got time for my child. I ain't got time to cook no food. We getting out to eat food. I ain't got time to put it to my man. We ain't doing it like that. You know what I'm saying? Just, different things that I probably should be doing around the house, but I'm not doing. And I'm just laying around watching TV and my phone, talking to my friends, you know what I'm saying? Like doing whatever and not focusing on what I need to do in my household. But even that's not even just for me. It's other shit I need to heal from too. Going back to grief, and going back to childhood shit that I was going through that I never spoke on. A lot of things that I have to heal from within for me. I don't know
right,
about nobody else, but that's my
right. And then you mentioned
I got
the workplace, like taking care of yourself, and a lot of jobs don't realize this because we spend more time at work than we spend at home. Um,
yeah.
because Jessica and I was talking about that. You get up in the morning, you got to get ready to go to work, then you got to drive to work, then you're going to spend 8 to 10 hours of your day at work, then you're going to spend another hour to 2 hours, well, probably 4 hours if you live in Atlanta driving in that traffic to get home. But but on the average, it's 24 hours in the day. Probably 14 to 16 hours of that time is spent away from home.
Absolutely.
It's spent away from home, it's spent at work, and that's where that work-life balance and it plays into taking care of yourself as well. Because how do you achieve the work-life balance so that you can take care of yourself? Like, what limitations do you set? Where at what point do you cut that job off and say, hey, I need, I have this or that, and granted, some jobs don't care. They just care what you doing, while you at work. And again, we spend half of this 24 hours in a day, and we spend probably 14 hours of that time away from home.
Yeah, absolutely.
and then you only got 10 hours, so by the time you get home.
Right. And that, if that, because then what? When you at home for those 8 or 10 hours, so you get up, you leave in the morning, say you have to be at work at 8 a.m. Typically, you leaving out your house somewhere between 6 and 6:30 in the morning. You get off about 4:30. You sitting in traffic. So basically, you're going to get home around 6:30, and about 6 o'clock in the evening. You too tired, like Ashley just said, to cook dinner. Don't have time for the dogs or the man or or the kids. Then by 8:30, you laying down. So out of them 24, them what, about 8, maybe 10 hours you at home, you gonna sleep for 6 of them. So you really only have like 4 hours. So where do you fit in the time for self-care? How do you make those adjustments for self-care?
That's a good
What
question.
about you, Tommy?
you can't make excuses. You gotta just handle that shit. Yes, we're gonna be tired. That's just like me working tomorrow. I know that I have to go to the gym every day. We still gonna make that shit happen. Tired or not. Like I know what makes me feel good. So okay, I'm sacrificing. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice. It's not about what you want. That again comes with discipline. You know what I'm saying? If you love yourself enough, you gonna make time. You gonna make time. You gonna figure it out. Shit, it's 7 days in a week. We ain't working 7 days straight. So shit, you know.
It depends on what field you in.
Sometimes you
I
do.
work in the business of transportation, baby. That shit
When
don't
so
shut down.
Yeah,
Okay.
my job don't stop. It then, now most people, what, we have our regular 9 to 5, and then we have our part-time entrepreneurship on the side. So you're working that 9 to 5, then you got your own business on the side. So
Right.
that's how you making time.
Baby. Oh, boy.
sacrifices, sacrifices do have to be made. Like it does. It's not like it doesn't, but it does have to happen.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, what sacrifices are important enough to make? You know what I'm saying? Because your kids gotta eat. You got kids. Your kids gotta eat. You gotta pour into them because they're grown. So you gotta pour into your kids. You know what I'm saying? Your relationship, you gotta pour into your relationship. So sometimes through it all, right? When you, that's why I said when it boils down to it, with a busy average person, that's why it's hard for you to do self-care, self-love, because you're pouring into everybody else, your job, your kids, your spouse, and it's about when do I get the time for me? You know what I'm saying? That's why you have the girls' night. You know what I'm saying? To unwind. That Friday night girls' night, or once a month, twice a month girls' night, or brunch or something like that. But that's also pouring into your friends. That's not self-care, that's also pouring into your friends. So it's about, because sometimes, like Don said, you have your business on the side, you're trying to be an entrepreneur. So it's not, you are working 7 days a week essentially. Yeah. Because when you're off, you're trying to go to your own business, to what you're trying to do. You don't have no option. The kids got to get ready for school on Sunday, so you got to do the reset, get them ready for school.
See, y'all got stuff a little different. It's just me. I ain't got no kids and nothing like that.
I don't either, but on the average person, we're talking about the average person. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about you and who are you're not single, but single for me and no spouse, and all I gotta do is think about myself. But sometimes
that shit hard.
It's hard.
I'm sorry. I mean, I hear what you say.
You know how people make time? People make time for what's important to them. That's how they make time. They prioritize. They put it in the order of what's important to them. You got some people, they just consistently call off work. That's how they get their work-life balance. It might cost their job in the end, but
LA.
That used to be me, but now I be trying to go to work every day.
Oh yeah, FMLA. FMLA is not a form of self-care. FMLA is supposed to be to take care. Medical is not what people use it for, and it's unfortunate because people don't haven't I guess mastered the art of self-care and how to do it, so they abuse the system by using FMLA.
Yeah.
But the FMLA, when I say abuse it, is because they're not using it still for self-care. They're using it because they just want the day off to go to a barbecue. Well, that could be self-care. Maybe they feel good when they go to that barbecue. Shit, I don't know.
The barbecue. See, Titi got a barbecue. I gotta go.
Right, but yeah.
Job thing is like a whole nother. I think that should be a whole nother show in itself when we talk about just some work shit.
Yeah, I'm definitely want to touch on some work shit.
Because like you can go on and on about things that happen at work, and it's like for real, we sitting here putting all our time, our energy into these jobs, working for these people who at home chilling. They on a cruise, they out in fucking Greece somewhere, drinking.
You know why? Because that's their self-care. They work themselves up to a level within the organization where they have that time where they could take the family trips. They could go off to Greece and Japan and China and just take their little laptop and enjoy their life, because what? They got other people at the bottom that's doing the work so that they can have that time to take care of themselves. That's their self-care.
So you know what? With you saying that everyone should have their plan, their 5 to 10 year plan to be that person.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Yeah, self-care don't happen overnight. It's something that we have to work our way to. But I know Shell said earlier about counseling. And I believe in going to a therapist. I go to counseling. I believe in that shit. But you know, what happens in a black household does what? Stays in a black household. You're not supposed to go to counseling. But
Mm-hmm.
counseling is a form of self-care, and
Yes.
I am an advocate for it. I believe it. I believe people should get counseling.
Hmm. I think I'm gonna try it.
You think you're gonna try it? It's good, and then it's a safe space because whatever you can say, whatever you want to say
I mean,
in the
I've done.
confines of those four walls. The only thing they have to tell, if you go off and you start talking crazy, if you say you're gonna commit suicide or homicide, then they have to say it. But anything else, you could say whatever you wish to say in therapy. See, Newton, Hindi, and Newton said therapy is saving my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, therapy is great. It's unfortunate that we grew up in those households where they say what stays in here, because that causes us to shut down. So are you really taking care of yourself if if you shut down, if you hold everything? And that's what I was saying earlier about we choose what we want to heal from and what we want to play victim to.
True.
Yeah.
But like you said, in being of, you know, ethnic background, black, Caribbean, whatever, you're always told whatever happens in this house stays in this house. Nobody ain't supposed to know, da da da. Deal with your own stuff. It's nothing called depression, especially in the Caribbean and the black household. Nothing like depression, nothing, and that's where we have it. We do have it a lot, and because we can't speak to nobody about it
Or have a safe place.
or have that safe space or place to be. You know what I'm saying? Now, in the past, what, 2 years, 3 years since the pandemic, just before the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
we've now been able to talk openly about you need to go to therapy and you need to, you know what I'm saying? But being a black person, that's not the first go to. And then on top of that, knowing that sometimes you have, just like you have a lawyer and they might not agree, or a doctor, you don't like them, same thing with a therapist. You can try different therapists until you find the one that aligns with you as far as you feel comfortable with. Because it's not going to be the first try you're going to find the perfect person. It's never going to happen. But you're also going to try other people so that you can go ahead and find the right fit so you can feel safe and be in that safe place.
Exactly. Hindu Newton, we really appreciate you tuning in. Hindu Newton was used to be on all the other shows before we went on that little hiatus that we went on and disappeared. They were always on supporting, and we appreciate your support. Um, okay, so Hindi says black folks for the longest one always allowed to have mental issues. We were either going to make money or be depressed and get evicted.
Mm-hmm.
You
Hmm.
have no time to.
You didn't have the luxury of
Right.
being like, I need a day off.
A mental health day. You know what? Speaking of
Shit.
mental health stuff, right?
Right.
So my boss told, like, this was her plan, right? She was like, what are we gonna do different next year? This was last year. What are we gonna do different next year? You know, blah blah blah. Anyway, so she came up with, okay, everybody take a mental health day once a month, right? Sent it to her boss, right? A white man. Guess what he said? I don't like that. Mental.
What?
Why do you need a mental health day?
This job
Bitch,
is
because we are freaking stressed the hell out at this job.
transportation.
Like, and it was so crazy to me. Like, I was like, what you mean we can't do the mental health day?
That's crazy.
That is crazy. One extra off day and y'all tripping.
I don't know how I feel
What's
about
the
jobs.
month?
Anyway, but
Once.
Okay.
Go ahead. Like you want to
Nothing.
say.
I was just, yeah. That's so unfortunate because yeah, emotions in the workplace run extremely high, and unfortunately, you leave there and you take that home with you. And I have a whole book that I'm getting ready to put out about emotions in the workplace, but that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, I felt like if it was like a white division that said that, they would have their mental health day once a month. I just feel that way. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna touch that, but let's take a quick commercial break and we will be right back.
That
Just go hotel. Bags and backpacks. Get that 10% discount at JustGoHotel.com.
Bags and Backpacks by Jessica Hotel, Art and Rhymes of Ghetto Girl Blue collection. Go now to JessicaHotel.com and get that 10% off. JessicaHotels.com is an online store and website that features art for fashion and fundraising and links to our edutainment initiatives and affiliates. Proceeds benefit Hotel Intellectual Properties, Inc., a Georgia-based 503c3 nonprofit organization here in Atlanta, Georgia, creating art, media, health, wellness, and harm reduction experiences. The HIP team serves as art in residence and Dwayne Wiggins Electric Church in Hampton, Georgia. Bags and Backpacks by Jessica Hotel, Art and Rhymes of Ghetto Girl Blue collection. Go now to JessicaHotel.com and get that 10% off.
Welcome to Coffee Talk Social, where we're celebrating Black History every day, not just in February. Make sure to join our social network, www.coffeetalk.com, and follow us on IG at Coffee Talk Social.
Four women on the same grind with different points of view. The millennial, sex, and the ATL. The raw, the real, the unexpected. Welcome to the Mixx 2.0.
The ATL Mixx 2.0.
The highest they started at 22. You gotta take a little test and put shit together, little tits.
Welcome back.
What's up?
we back.
We got
We're back.
We got
And
the
the
birthday girl.
girl in the building.
Ah, Pisces.
I've been woke up.
Mm-hmm.
I said Pisces.
Pisces season.
How you doing your birthday?
Oh, it was good, you know. I was with the dogs, you know, and was hanging with my dad. And
Look at your cheese.
oh, here.
Oh yeah, we didn't say anything about the dog. Oh yeah. Yeah, the most.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I liked it. Did you cut it off? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. But what else?
Yeah, I can't wait to Vegas trip, so
That's right around the corner.
May.
You're right around the corner.
You gonna get it on?
Yeah. So we're talking about self-care and healing, Amber, since you were gone. Done you cut again?
I was
So what?
watching.
Yeah. So what does healthcare mean to you?
Really treating yourself.
Before she get into that real quick, this person was responding to Ashley. I told my boss I needed a week off to take a mental health break. My boss told me to man up because there are other people who want my job. I caved and told him, okay, I won't take time off. What would you do?
I would have took my time.
I would have took my time,
That's what I'm gonna do.
and when I take my time, I would have been applying to other jobs.
About you, baby. They don't care about you.
And that is so true. And that's what we're gonna do a whole episode about the workplace coming like real soon. We got some shit that we could really share with y'all because I was in that situation as well. And I took my about 4-5 years ago. Y'all remember? Y'all know I took a mental break. They said no, but I took it anyway.
You
Exactly.
only got
You
you,
have to.
baby. All you got is you.
Exactly. And if you need that time off, take that time off.
If you, and especially if you got the time. Let me tell you something. Last year, at the end of the year, my boss and two of my coworkers, my colleagues, they had so much time that they gave back to the company because they didn't take it. Baby, I'm taking every week they give me.
Mhm.
Believe that every single hour, bitch, I'm gonna have zero. at the end of 2023, going into 2024. I'm taking all.
I I do understand. Actually, I did that in one of my some years ago, and one of my friends was like, "How do you do it?" It was when we was doing the magazine. I had Les Elegance magazine, and we was doing fashion shows, but I was working, and when I left and had decided to leave that job, I left that job, and I had like 6 weeks of vacation. When you only supposed to have carry over 5, I ended up having 6 weeks of vacation. And my sick time, I think I had like 3 months of sick time because I never took any sick days off. And it was just sitting there, just accumulating. Yeah. And then they was like, they didn't realize, and then they was like, oh, you gonna lose it because every year we got the 40 hours and we accumulated or something like PTO. So when you add in my PTO and my sick time and everything, I mean, I had enough time saved up from that job where I literally could have been off for about maybe 4.5 months and got paid for that entire 4.5 months. If you count my vacation, my sick time, my PTO, I could have took off for 4.5 months and got paid for it all.
And I would have found something wrong with me to do it. Hurt my leg, hurt my fingers, baby. Let me go to the doctor. I'm gonna need y'all off. I'm not gonna give y'all no company all the time that I don't work for. Y'all crazy.
First of all,
Shit.
I had a similar situation. Starting this job, I came into this job. I knew that I had some family stuff going on that I needed the end of the year off. Talk to my coworkers because my department is small, but then my HR person didn't want to give it to me, and I'm like, baby, you don't have to pay me. I'm gonna take the L on that, and I'm gonna make sure I'm covered regardless.
Right.
But what you're not gonna do is tell me I can't take my time. She's like, well, you can only take a week off. But where does it say that? Oh, it said that in the bylaws. Okay, cool. Pull up the contract in the bylaws, and I told her, I was like, please, this is what it says. Please show me where it says something different.
Exactly. Especially if you're not gonna take your time and you don't have no time. If I ain't asking to be paid, I'm gonna take my time. At the end of the day, take your time off. Okay.
That's the rule.
Okay.
Yeah, take your time off. Take at that job, I was fortunate that I had a really great relationship with my boss. So I took 2 weeks and then I went back and then I took another week. So he didn't let me lose the time. And then I don't know what he did, but he was, YT, and he got me he got me my money when I left.
I mean, don't work yourself to death because I've seen people do it, and rest in peace to the person who did it. But that job replaced that person in a heartbeat, and it will replace you. You are just a number in a system that gets paid bi-weekly for the work that you do.
That's part of my self-love.
But back to the topic, we got a birthday girl in the house. So who up for 111 for the Pisces?
Pisces.
Pisces. So we were talking about self-care, and that Pisces took a little self-care because at the beginning of the show, she was like, "Fuck y'all, I need a moment. I'll see y'all later."
Right.
So Amber, we talking about self-care. What what do that look like for you? What is self-care for you? Do you that's what we're talking about right now.
I feel like self-care is like treating yourself and, taking yourself out or like doing something that you want to do. So
What makes you happy?
Yeah, what makes you happy?
What makes you happy, Amber?
Sleeping.
I just didn't ask that because I know that's her answer.
Yeah, sleeping, eating what I like. Doing something I've never done before.
Yes, we touched on that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a lot of self-care to myself.
She do.
But my question is to y'all, like, how do y'all feel like if y'all giving so much self-care and not self-care, care to others? If it's too much self-care, how how much
When
is
it's
too
too much.
much.
How much is too much?
Yeah,
I feel like it's never enough.
I mean, because if you take care of yourself, you're filling your own cup up.
Right.
That way you can pour into other people. If you are working off an empty glass like this is, you can't pour anything into anybody. You can't give anything to anybody.
Yeah.
So you got to fill your own cup up in order to fill others up. Because people will take from you and don't even think about pouring into you. Because some people are
takers don't know when to stop.
Exactly. And you have to find someone who pours into you as much as you pour into them. Being that you have to teach your kids to pour into you, because I say that because I've seen people in my own family who don't take care of their parents, who would go and buy name brand for themselves, but go to Walmart and get their mother a $12 gift set.
But I mean,
and you know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, so I want to just say this because me and my cousin, she came over. She's older. She's like turning 70 this year. And me and her had a conversation. Her mom really did not treat her that good. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so I feel like it's just, I think people base their childhood and childhood traumas on how they treat their parents when their parents get older. Because I've seen a few times how people treat their mothers and fathers that they're older now, you know, because they didn't give them the best childhood, or they had them going through a lot of things as they were younger. Okay, now I'm going to put you in a home, or now I don't care what you got going on. I'm going to do me and whatever I got going on.
But you know my thing is, you have to realize that's when you see your parent as a parent, not a human being. Because at some point you have to realize that for some of them, that's the best that they can do. They're human
and
first.
That's what I explained to her.
They're human first. That's the best that they can do. Mm-hmm. And if you are better enough to come out of it, because some people don't come out of it good, but if you're better enough to come out of it with a better mindset, you have to realize that's a human being, and whatever they were going through, because half the stuff they were going through, you don't even know what happening behind the scenes. All you know is how they treat you,
right?
Because you're the child, and as they say back in the day, stay in the child's place. So half the stuff you don't even know what they've been going through.
Forgiveness is a part of healing.
Mm-hmm.
Self-love.
Absolutely.
Forgive. No matter how painful it is, that's the only way you're gonna grow. You have to forgive. Ain't nobody tell you to forget. But forgive. You have to. It's good for you.
And I talked to my cousin about that. I was like, you know, why is she so mean to you? You know, and it wasn't really that much of a bad thing, but it was kind of like she felt more selfish in the matter than my cousin did.
For her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but listen, even though my aunt treated her like pure shit, you know what I'm saying? She still, when my aunt was getting ready to pass or was going through whatever, she still fucking was there for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she still was there. Now, I know someone who going through the same, some similar situation, not the same, and they stun their mama. They like, shit, put her in a home.
And that goes back to what we was talking about earlier. Emotions and healing. We choose what we want to heal from and what we want to play victim to. So they haven't healed from that childhood trauma, and they using that childhood trauma to mistreat not just their parents. The childhood trauma, it takes away from that accurate self-care, it takes away from friendships, it takes away from romantic relationships. All that carries on because they have chosen to play victim rather than to heal.
Right. Absolutely.
Because you have to, because it's not forgiving is not for the other person, it's more for you.
Right, it's for yourself.
So although that parent might have not treated you well, you might not have the best childhood, even taking care of them when they're older, it's not for them, it's more for you, because then you can have that peace of mind.
But sometimes people be petty. They feel like just because every Christmas they didn't get a brand new bike, my mama was mean to me. So and these kids today, this is a whole nother subject as well. Because the kids today, they walk around with this goddamn entitlement attitude. They don't want to like work. They don't want responsibility. They just feel like they entitled. Like, oh, I'm gonna get on social media and I'm gonna get a bunch of likes and get paid that way. It's crazy. Um, but sometimes, like you said, Shell, they don't know what their parents going through. Their mom might be tired because maybe it's a deadbeat dad and she out working 2 jobs, you know, because back in the days they didn't pay. So maybe she had to work them 16 hours to make sure you got food on the table, clothes, the latest designers and all that. And a lot of times they don't look at that. They only look at the no factor. She told me no. She told me no. They don't think of and the positive things, because Jessica and I was talking about that. You could be really good to a kid, and the only thing they're gonna remember is the time you said no. You could have given that kid every fucking thing, brought him a new car, every pair of new Jordans that came out, all of that. But that 1 second you tell them no, they gonna just remember that no. They really don't remember all the yeses, and that goes with anybody with friendships. I thought I seen. Nah, the light was blinking.
Y'all remember that story? It happened recently about a little boy. He wanted his mom to order him a game system. Yeah. She told him no.
Oh, and he shot her.
Yeah, that's like crazy. That was nuts.
Yeah, he killed his mom because she told him he couldn't have a game, so he shot her.
No children. Not
just because of that one kid.
That's true.
They don't differentiate your kid.
I mean, I've personally seen a kid being one of my god kids who is the most understanding person, and I can have a conversation with them and a one-on-one conversation with him, and he sees the point of view, and if he doesn't understand, I ask him, do you understand? And if he doesn't, then we go through it, we explain it to each other, and he's the most understanding person. But that's not every kid.
Right.
It depends on it depends on the conversations you have.
How you raising them?
Like I said, you have to pour into your kids. Your kids have to pour into you, but you have to have those openly conversations with them. And if they don't understand, you have to break it down to them so they do understand. Because not everything they're going to understand.
They ain't never been before.
And they're just finding out just from, we've had conversations like to educate our children in a mental capacity so that they can take rejection.
Yeah.
Because right now in this day and age, rejection is like the most horrible thing. When you go to their game day, everybody gets the trophy now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to
take a loss.
Take a loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. But I think, you know what? My mama told me something, like, because I felt the way. So when I was brought up different from Amber, you know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't living in this house, you know, before 1996, okay? So when I talked to my mom about certain things that I felt, you know, how I felt about how I was brought up different from Amber, how Amber got more stuff than me and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, actually, when you were a baby or a child, we didn't have it like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, well, I wanted to cheer, I wanted to do this and try different things. Mom would never do it. So I just felt like she was like, no. Well, my dad was always fucking mean to me. And she was like, no, we just didn't have it, actually. Honestly and truly. Like,
You gotta have it. And that's the thing. You gotta have those conversations. Right. Because kids only see what they don't have or what they do have.
Right.
They don't understand that, baby, right now, mommy is not in that position to make it happen.
Right.
But what I can do is we can work towards it, and maybe in the future, whatever the case is. All we say is no, with no explanation. So for some kids, it's like, okay, well, why?
Yeah, they didn't give me an explanation. It was just like,
but when you get older and you get those explanations, like even for me, being a 3-year-old and my mom leaving me to move here, it was like, but you left me. Like, Why didn't you take me with you? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when she moved back, it was like there was no explanation given. There was nothing given. It was, okay, mom's not here for 5 years, and then you came back in, and I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who are you? Right. So I had to get to know her again. And then when I asked her a question, she would never answer it. And one person asked her a question, like a friend that I met, her mom and my mom were having a conversation, and I overheard her explaining it to her, and I'm like, but you could have said that to me.
But you was a child.
No, at that time, I'm 17, 18 years old.
So you were still asking why?
Yeah, because for me, as a 3-year-old child, my mom is not here. You know what I'm saying? I'm being raised by my grandparents. My grandmother come up here every 6 months. I don't know why, but at the time she had a visa, so she had to be up here for 6 months. I didn't understand it either. So I'm living with other people for 6 months out the year, living with my dad, living for the family friends. So I'm being tossed around, but I never knew why.
Right.
So when when I asked her at 15, I was never given an answer. It was just cause. But my thing is, when you have those conversations with your child, it can enlighten them to stuff that you don't, like at the time, we were going through a recession when I was 3. There was no jobs. My mom got a job opportunity. She came up here for this job opportunity. As a child, I didn't understand that.
Right.
But I wasn't given that opportunity to understand it.
But you probably wouldn't have understood then either. Like I know too, like with Ari, certain stuff I can explain to her, you know, and she'll understand. But then certain stuff, if I do explain to her, she still don't really understand. I should say, okay, my girl, but she don't really get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So maybe your mama felt like, because back then our parents ain't really explain shit to us. It was just
right.
Like,
back then the answer was because I said so. That was the mama answer, because I said so.
So, but my thing is sometimes for some situations, having that conversation and even asking them, even when they say, okay, ask them, because I do with my God, I don't have any kids. So with my God kids, when I have conversations with them, I ask, do you understand? Do you really understand? And what do you understand from what I just said?
And but they'll say this is what I'm saying, Michelle. They'll say they understand.
That's what I said for some things, not all things.
Yeah, they'll say that, but they don't really be getting that shit until, like, I still didn't get it until I actually became an adult. Like, even when my mama telling me we didn't have it, I didn't understand until I was actually an adult going through shit on my own, and I realized, okay, you know what? That's why she said we can do these. Exactly. That's why we can eat McDonald's. You got
that McDonald's.
Exactly. Like, I understood. Okay, bitch. Look, we gotta rob Peter to pay Paul around this motherfucker. So this is what we doing. That's what it is, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you don't. They won't, and you won't understand until you're older.
Yeah. Until you actually going through that. That's why a lot of people say, well, when you know, when somebody going through something, like, well, I understand. No, a lot of times people probably don't understand. Like when my mom passed, for instance, which is going to use it, we're not going to talk about it, but when my mom passed, if somebody's like, oh, well, I understand. No, you don't. You don't understand because your mom's still here. But you know what I'm saying? It's the same instance. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand until you're actually going through what they're going through. You know. Okay, y'all. What you think?
From my cousin, she had sometimes kids do kind of forget about the situation and just brush it off. But my cousin, she was like, you know, I feel bad because she's came to me one day and I'm grown as hell. She was like, you know, I couldn't take you ice skating because I couldn't afford it. I was like,
you really?
I was like, I don't even remember that, but okay.
But sometimes it do stick with the person.
Yeah, when they can't do it for you.
Yeah.
You bother her all that time, man.
It must be. Matter of fact, call it my chest. This year, at the end of the year, we gonna ice skate. 71.
Well. I know I need to keep my day job. But anyway, it's been lovely.
And the end of the show, y'all. We was getting riled up and ready.
Riled up and ready. We are here. Well, the ATL Mixx is here each and every Sunday at 9 p.m. We're just getting back up and running, but we will definitely be back here next Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern time because, of course, like the name, the ATL Mixx, we're down in the ATL.
Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you next week.
All right, baby. Y'all hold it down. Be safe.
From the A to the T to the L, it's some Georgia peaches. The ATL Mixx 2.0.